Recovery isn't just about what we leave behind. It's about who we become. Welcome to The Next Right Step. I'm Christian, and this is a place for honest conversations about recovery, growth, resilience, and the willingness to keep moving forward. Whether you're in recovery yourself, supporting someone you love, or simply trying to become a better version of yourself, you're welcome here. Because none of us have all the answers. We're just finding our way, one conversation at a time. Hi, everyone. My name is Christian. This is the Next Right Step podcast. And today, I have my buddy Justin.
How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Tired.
I feel that.
Tired. Long days at work.
Long days at work. Yeah, and it's Monday. So.
It is Monday.
Mondays are always more exciting.
Yeah, certainly in the field of addiction treatment and recovery, they're certainly exciting coming out of the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
Especially running housing. It's always it's quite the wild time.
All right, so today's episode is one I'm actually been pretty excited for. So the past 3 episodes, we kind of been on this little recovery journey. This one is called Breaking Old Patterns, the Lies That Keep Us Stuck. I think that both of our stories kind of fit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what we share with each other.
Yeah.
And, sorry.
I'm very excited to do this, actually based on this because of the patterns of my past and some of the cycles that I stayed stuck in. So it's gave me, just in the time we've been talking, I've kind of reflected on some stuff from the past that's haven't thought about in a long time.
Well, my apologies, and
no, it's a good thing.
All right, so first question. What was something you believed about yourself that recovery proved wasn't true?
Yeah, I think one thing, and I think it's it's ordinary for a lot of addicts, and I see it and I hear it frequently working in the field that I do. But one thing that always stuck out to me is that I wasn't enough, or I was never going to be enough, and that comes from the standards that were set in my household. I come from a family of I was raised by my grandparents, so they're wartime babies, and they just had a different standard that a lot of other parents maybe had or didn't have. But they, I kind of grew up that there was 2 ways to do things. There was my dad's way and the wrong way, and so I was always trying to meet this standard and meet this expectation of people, and that I was never really able to meet. And when I got into recovery and I started doing work on myself, I really realized that as long as I was authentically me and I just did my best every day, that I could meet the standards that I had set for myself. But it took me a while to explore to see what those standards were. They were pretty low for a long time.
Yeah, I think that I relate a lot to that. There's the inherent, what we learn to be a lie, that once an addict, always an addict. And for the longest time, I fully believed that, like, the cards that I was dealt was what I was supposed to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look, this, just talking about this and getting into this makes me reflect on times like where I look back and, my parents had a high standard and I was set with high standards, but at the same time, like, expectations were low. And that stems, because my mom was a cocaine addict and a prostitute. And, so I was born not knowing who my father was. It could have been any amount of numerous men. And, her being a drug addict and having the issues that she did and putting me up for adoption and my grandparents adopting me kind of led to them. I was always just looked at as like a product of her and the mistakes that she had made. So in a lot of ways, like, some people kind of look at it as like a woe is me thing, but like I always was let to be known that like I was a mistake and that I was, they didn't have to raise me. So they wanted me. They did want better for me, which is great. Like, I think all parents should want better of them than themselves for their children. Like, I know I certainly do, but I try not to hold an unattainable standard for my children.
Yeah, I agree very much. That's exactly how we've built our household. Is we built this life as a propellant for our kids to build something off of, and if they don't, that's fine, and if they do, that's good. And we have never put any pressure to decide what that thing is for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that our parent situation was very similar.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also didn't, and I still don't know who my biological dad is. And being a black sheep in the family was kind of my role. So, I mean, in the extended family, of course. Yeah, my dad was in the Navy. My stepdad was in the Navy, and so it was pretty military style house that way. You do your chores. You put your work in, and I know that there are things that went on in my house where like the expectation was high, but then the standard was low. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I had kind of a weird upbringing being raised by my grandparents because it kind of took a village to raise me. Them being older when they adopted me and my grandmother having a heart attack shortly after I was born. And so I was like, that was my central base, but I was passed around amongst the family. So like weekends I spent with my aunts and uncles and other family members. Like, because I wasn't the easiest child to raise, but so like I had the cool aunt and uncle like who maintained their life. Like now I know they're functional addicts, like as functional as you can be. Like, but to them they've never had any type of substance use issues because if you're an addict and you have any type of drug issues, you lose everything. You go to prison. You lose your jobs, your bank accounts, your houses, and all that. And since they've maintained all those things, they don't have drug or drinking problems.
Oh, yeah.
They just people who enjoy, other things in life. And, they were cool. Like, I kind of wanted to be like them. And then there was my uncle who was always, like, single but not single. Like, he would never fully commit. And, like, I really wanted to be like him.
Of course.
And, because he's a biker and he was super cool and all this. And then, then I'd go back to, like, the grandparents, which was very like structured and rigid but I was always let to be known like I wasn't exceeding these expectations or meeting their standards. And so like getting into recovery really showed me that and starting to heal in recovery showed me that I don't have to meet somebody else's standards and expectations as long as I'm meeting my own, and that they're morally correct, and that I'm doing things the just and righteous way, like to an extent. I'm doing better than I was.
Hey. I think that is an important value that I learned in recovery, is that as well. And is that there's not a singular road.
No.
My first sponsor, I remember he would tell me, so you're going to have a lot of problems with some of the bullshit that happens in meetings, and that's all right. Take what you want or take what you need and leave the rest, and then build your own thing.
Yeah.
So, and Like I've held on to that.
Yeah, I heard that and I've held on to it. It stuck with me.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I've already cussed, so I'll continue to. But
Oh, it's fine. Yeah.
I have
I tell YouTube it's not for children.
I have seen a lot of fucking shit that I don't agree with in meetings, and but I've taken aspects of the program. Not every piece of it works for me, but I've learned to take all of it and kind of twist it to what I need it to work. But the weird part is the longer that I have working a program, and the longer that I have clean, and the more healing and the more work I do on myself, that everything I do starts to align more of the way the program's actually written. In a lot of ways, if that makes sense. Like I find myself looking at parts of it that I didn't agree with, and I start to agree with it more as I get older and I get more time and I start to do work around it. It makes more sense.
Absolutely. And typically the things that I have had problems with is the things that are not actually the things written in the program.
Mm-hmm. Oh no,
when the other people twist the knobs to
yeah.
I
mean, there's there's people I don't agree with, aspects of people's lives that I don't agree with, and I heard somebody share something in a meeting. I'm going to butcher what they said, but it was at a birthday meeting, and it's an older guy, and he said, this program, he had 20-something years clean and rigidly worked steps, had such a beautiful program, and he said, I don't fucking love everyone in here. I don't like everyone in here. And he said, I hear this, like, you're supposed to love everyone, you're supposed to like everyone. And he's like, that just doesn't work for me. And he was so open and honest about it, and people were in the room were just like, oh my God, like so hurt by it. And he said, if I tell you I love you, I mean it. If I don't, just fucking deal with it. And I was like, cool, I like this guy. And then I noticed something afterwards, after the meeting. He hugged me and he said, I love you. And I was like, I made the club.
I made it. I'm one of the cool guys. All right. So, part one of this segment is who were you before recovery? So, what lies did addiction convince you were true?
Oh. I mean, again, that I wasn't worth it. My addiction started very early, and it kind of fueled a way of life, helped to fuel a way of life. I used it to kind of numb the ways that I was, because some people know this, some people don't. I used to openly share about it like it was a badge of honor. About prison time and incarceration and gang affiliation and all that. But I became gang affiliated with a white supremacist gang at a very young age, and it was a means to fit in. I was seeking brotherhood. I was seeking things that I didn't have. I was raised as an only child. I always felt like an outcast, black sheep, and I found this group of people that accepted me. But along with that came substance use. And so I started using at an early age, like earlier than a lot, and I wouldn't say my addiction took off until, I was 15, 16 years old, but that's not a normal age for people to, be using methamphetamines and actively running around town and, committing crimes like robberies and car theft. It's not normal, for somebody that age. But I think my addiction coupled with those feelings, I used my addiction to fuel the pain that I was putting myself through with those things that I was doing and those views, because I never really fully bought into what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I also knew that I didn't want to be alone. If that makes sense. I needed to portray to be this thing, and it hurt to do it, so I would use. And then it's the lies I told myself in my addiction to get through, to maintain. It's like my mother, I ended up finding out more about who she was, and she passed away when I was 17 years old. And I think one of the biggest lies I told myself is to cope with these feelings, I have to maintain this, like, and another big one is this is just who I am destined to be, no more. Like, I'm never going to amount to anything. And that comes from existential things. That comes from people around me saying that and hearing that on a regular basis. And it goes back to our original thing of not being able to meet standards and expectations of others. But I heard it so much that I began to believe it, and it hurt so much that it was easier to use to cover it. And then it became who I was. It became my identity, and I saw that as my identity. And I run into people, now in my 40s that I was in high school with, and my late teenage years and stuff, and they're shocked that I'm still alive, that I'm not in prison, and that I do what I do, because a lot of them, that was my image. That's who I was. And when I hear that, I think back to it, that's who I made myself, and it's a lie that I lived for many years, is this is what I'm destined to be. I had just imagined that I was going to be this criminal that was in and out of incarceration and would spend my life. And I wanted to be that person, because it's, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to live up to the standard. And it's funny, is like, I never truly wanted to be that way, but that's who I thought I had to be. And, that was just one of those lies that developed through my addiction. That's all I thought of myself.
I think that a lot of our drug timing and substance abuse matches, and I definitely had it in my head, and part of it was true. Like, I was just a weird kid, and then when I was high, I wasn't.
Right. Yes. No, I was a nerdy kid growing up. Like, now I'm still a nerdy kid. Like, and you get it. I mean, clearly this backdrop is, it's
That's sweet.
No, it's rad, and but I was such a nerdy kid. Like, I was into like old B-rate horror movies and weird like B-rate comedies and stuff that like nobody knew about, and like stuff that like my my grandparents and my aunts and uncles would know about, and like I could quote stuff. And I was really into professional wrestling. Like, I was super into pro wrestling.
I could see it.
And I was a chubby nerdy kid with glasses. Again, I'm still a chubby nerdy kid with glasses. And I was overweight as a kid, and so like I was kind of outcast in those ways. And so substance use and counterculture like gave me a way to fit in and not feel like that, and to get out of those feelings. Like, because I'm happy with who I am now. Like, I mean, the blue shirt's not flattering on the camera at all, but
I think it's working.
but I wanted to just be something different than that. It was all about acceptance, and I finally found that through substance use.
And that is essentially what happened to me. Is I come with a lot of trauma, and there's a lot of really messed up things that have happened throughout my time. And when I was high, that all went away.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't weird as much, although I was still weird. And everyone needed me, and everyone called my phone, and like I had the girls and the busted Craigslist cars, and
well,
and I liked that. I liked the excitement. I liked being the thing. And when the drugs turned on me, which they always eventually do, I had forgot who I was before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to stop. So even though like I knew that it was a problem, there was just so much chaos that kept pulling me back in. I was just convinced that these were the cards that I was dealt, and that this was the person and the role in society that I was supposed to be, and someone had to be it, so it had to be me.
Yeah, that's weird that you say it. It's not weird. It really hits home. Because I got clean for a period of time in my 20s, and I really changed my life around. I got with someone that I was with for 13 years, had children, built a life business, did all the things that normal people do. And, I went through periods of where I was California sober during it, and I wasn't fully abstinent. I worked a program for a while and then I stopped working a program and I just, I only smoked marijuana and I was very content with my life. And then I relapsed, and it was weird is like, during that whole time developing that life and building that life, like I realized my identity became being a father, which I was happy with, but I never could escape the feelings that I had from the past. And as soon as I touched drugs again, those feelings went away. The trauma went away, the pain went away. And I immediately like went back into this flow of things of being a criminal, and like, that's when I really got caught up in the legal system more so than I ever had before in my life. And my life started to unravel and I spiraled very quickly. But at that point, as strange as it was, in my early 30s, I was like super accepting of it. I was like, this is who I am destined to be. This is what I'd finally found my calling, actually. Like, I felt like
Like, this is my role.
right. This is my role in life. This is actually where I'm supposed to be. It's not a good parent. It's not, a good mechanic and business owner and father and husband and all this like productive, because I was Boy Scout leader and doing all these things. Like, it was none of that. I was not destined to do that. I was destined to live life on the installment plan, going in and out of prison, and to be re-involved with gangs and on drugs, committing crimes. Like, that's who I'm meant to be. And because I'm not better than that. That is my role in life. And through recovery, I found that is not my role in life. But for a period of time, I really I believed that. And it was weird. Like, when I went to prison the last time, like, and I got there, it felt like home. 'Cause I felt like I finally was where I needed to be. I didn't need to run from something anymore. Like, it was like the safest I had felt in years was sitting in a cell.
I remember I've been to jail a few times, and yes, it always felt like this is going to be the safest that I'm going to be.
Right. Yeah.
And at a certain point, there's this moment where I was just like, if I could just go to jail, I could reset for a minute. And there's 3 meals, there's bed, there's a shower, and there's a TV.
Right. Yeah, they give me everything I need. I don't have to work for anything. And if I could just go for a little bit, I'll reset. I tried that so many times. I tried to reset, and life's going to be different when I get out. And I was so uncomfortable clean and so uncomfortable not using and without all the things that I had in life that it was so much easier to just go back and treat it as a revolving door. And every time it got easier. And it's funny, like you had said that like you were sitting there and you figured that this is the safest you're going to be. Like, I was just thinking about it as you were saying that. Like, I just got married in June and I went on my honeymoon and I got off the airplane in Florida. And I've been to Florida before, but I got off and I looked around and I was like, this is paradise. And I remember doing the same thing when I got to prison and I was like, yeah, this is where it's at. Like, and there's people talking. They're like, oh, so-and-so just got stabbed. They just life flighted him out of here. And I'm like, this is where I need to be. I'm like, this is the spot. Yeah, this is the spot. Like,
Oh, man.
I finally made it to paradise.
All right. Part 2. Looking into the mirror. One of my turning points specifically is I remember towards the end of my active use, I was waking up. I had woke up in a trailer. I had crashed out for a few days because when I was high, I was up for a whole while. And like I went to the bathroom to like use the bathroom and wash my face a little bit. And I looked in the mirror and I could not recognize the person that was staring back at me. There was definitely some disgust, some uncomfortability, all of this. And like I just celebrated 15 years the other day.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And part of that process for me was I went and found my old pictures. And after this amount of time, it is hard for me to recognize or understand the person and the actions that I had to do to survive. I don't remember looking like that person, but I do remember looking at that person in the mirror and not recognizing who was staring back. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, it's funny you use looking in the mirror because I use that when I was still a full-time counselor. I used to discuss looking in the mirror all the time to people and who do they see in the mirror and what do they see in the mirror. And I would encourage people to do it and come back and report back to me the next day. And so many people in early recovery would tell me they couldn't do it without crying because they didn't like what they saw. And I remember at the very end of my run before I was incarcerated, I couldn't look in the mirror. I wouldn't look in the mirror. I would intentionally avoid the mirror because what I saw in the mirror was just a shell of a man, and I hated what I saw. And to be honest, when I would look at myself in the mirror, it was one of the very few times I've been genuinely suicidal in my life, and I didn't want that person to live. I got clean in prison. I got clean partway into my sentence.
Which is no easy feat.
It's no easy feat. I mean, especially during the time, this year, November 15th of this year, I'll be out of prison for 5 years.
Hey.
I've built a wonderful life in 5 years and been in a lot of means, like not only professionally, but emotionally and spiritually more successful than I've ever been. But getting clean, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror in prison. And they got those stainless steel jobs on the wall that are all polished and everything. And, you know, I would look at myself and I hated the person that I saw. I saw the reflection because I never wanted to be a parent like my mother. I mean, and I never wanted my children to hurt like I hurt and to put people through what I was put through as a child. And that's all I saw when I was in prison, and I continued my use while I was in prison. And then, you know, I had a friend. I hated the mirror so much. I had a friend who worked in maintenance, and I had him get me some sandpaper, some like 36 grit sandpaper, and I rubbed my mirror off. I mean, it just nothing, so I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
You know, because I shaved my head and I could feel if I missed a spot, and I could do my goatee blind. I didn't have a big beard then. I just had a little goatee, and I could do it blind. And I didn't want to look in the mirror, so I purposely scratched my mirror out because I could not stand who I saw in the mirror. I hated it. And then I got clean, and I switched prisons, and I went to a prison that had a recovery unit, and I was waiting to go to this prison, and COVID was happening. And I was by myself in a cell waiting to get all my stuff. And I started to be able to look myself in the mirror. And actually, the mirror became a big part of my early recovery. Some people might say that sounds kind of egotistical, but I didn't have anyone to talk to. You know, during COVID, we were locked down for 23 and a half hours a day. And I wasn't crazy talking to myself, but like I had one person on the outside I talked to. Maybe two. You know, the two people who stuck with me the most in my prison sentence was my drug dealer who I got arrested at's house that I didn't rat on, so he made sure I was taken care of while I was there, and my sponsor who was waiting for me to come back to the program. But when you're getting out and you're only out for a half hour a day and you got to take a shower in that time and, hop on the phone, there's very little communication you're having. And so I started doing something in the mirror because my sponsor would always tell me, I give him shit for this. It's my old sponsor. He'd always say, I believe in you. And but he would do it to everyone. And so there's actually a group of us that make a joke whenever we say it to each other. But it started to hit home with me, that he said it. And then one day he said, I'm proud of you. And he told me, he's like, you need to talk to yourself in the mirror. You need to become comfortable with who you are. And so every day I would talk to myself in the mirror and I would tell myself, I'm proud of you and that I love you and I believe in you. And I started to believe it. I started to believe the man in the mirror.
I remember when I went to treatment, I share about this anytime I do my story, but whenever I went to behavior modification, and part of the behavior modification was anytime you spoke, you said, and I still have it locked in my head 15 years later, my name is Christian and I'm a man worthy of love, honor, trust, dignity, and respect.
And you are.
And I am. I didn't believe it then, for sure. But I jumped through the hoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I would do it all the time, and I didn't have a celly for the longest time because of COVID. And then I got one, and the door would crack, and I would always stop on my way out because I knew I was going to be. This is when they started giving us a few hours out a day. I would always make sure that I said, I'm proud of you and I love you to myself on the way out. And he thought it was the weirdest thing that I would talk to myself. But at least somebody that day told me they were proud of me and that they loved me. Because I didn't have anything on the outside. And so little on the outside. I didn't get to talk to my kids. The wife left me. The country song stuff. I lost my truck, my dog, lost my dog, lost my house.
Don't worry, you can borrow mine.
He's a good dog.
He is a good dog.
I had to make up for it. Now I got a dog that's as big as I am, and I got 2 dogs now. And I got the country song reversed. I got all this stuff, but I didn't have anybody to tell me those things. And for the longest time, I didn't believe it, but I knew with repetition, I'd start to believe it. And I started to like the person in the mirror. It really started to fill out again. One thing I noticed is I started to have life in my eyes again. Because that's why I couldn't look at myself in the eyes in the mirror before. It was one thing to look at the pick marks and the whatever and the dirty face and the bags.
Yeah.
But as soon as I made eye-to-eye contact with myself and I just saw how dead I was in the eyes, that's what hurt me. Is I didn't have that glow, and then I could look back at pictures of myself from my childhood or even a few years before that, and there was just such a light, and that was gone. But then I started to see this flicker of light again, and that really got me back to myself. Yeah. Yeah.
This is my picture, and my face just looks dead.
Yeah.
There is no life in those eyes.
Yeah, no life, and, Skeletor.
Yeah.
Skeletor.
I get it.
Yeah, once I started to recognize the flicker of light again is when stuff started to change for me. Because then it was I was coming out of my cocoon. And I was becoming the beautiful butterfly that I am now.
Beautiful butterfly. I am a lovely sunflower. Yeah, I think that becoming a girl dad and a husband and prior to this moment for sure, but I like wearing pink shirts.
Dude, straight up, I wear pink shirts.
Absolutely.
I don't care.
There's my pink shirt right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I in recovery it was all heavy sweatshirts and black on black on black, and I still wear black obviously, but I got tan pants on. I got a pink shirt over there. I got
the pink shirt.
That thing's fucking sweet. I just I got to explore who I am and who I want to be, and part of that was working on those toxic traits, right? It's today I fully respect the person that I see in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll flex in the mirror and be like, man, I'm killing it. I'm heavy, of course, but but I resonate with everything that you're saying. What's the quick snap of the journey that looked like? Like, what was your experience with like step work and like what are the character defects you had to work on?
That's so funny. I struggled with trying to find character defects and define them.
Ah.
And I had so many of them. And
we could be the most critical of ourselves.
Absolutely. And my old sponsor said, I'm gonna show you this cool thing. And he sent me this Google link to somebody had done like a cheater set of character defects. And so I was working steps through our fellowship, but doing them the way the other fellowship does them. And not out of what we, jokingly call the federal interrogation book, and I was doing them the quick way. So he was like, I want you to do a list. I don't remember how many character defects it was and what I'm going to do to work on them. And there were so many, I couldn't pick them. So I took this list and I went to work, and I was working at Central City Concern at the time. And I printed out this sheet of paper on highlighter yellow paper. And I just printed every character defect that was on there. And because he said, write them out and highlight them. And so I brought it to him, and I printed it on the paper. And he goes, what's this? And I said, my list of character defects. And he goes, it's the whole list. And I said, that's why I printed it on the highlighter paper. And he goes, you're stupid. Pick one. And I said, I can't. But then, I started looking at the different things. Like, I was a people pleaser, and people pleasing is manipulation.
Absolutely.
I wasn't doing it because I wanted people to be happy. I was doing it because I wanted people to like me.
Yes.
And at any cost. And, I could find so many, like, my my character was just not deep at that time. And I started to look like a lot of my character defects involved insecurities in myself and manipulation, because it's all fear rooted. Everything was rooted in fear. And so I had to really start looking at what brought me there and how I can get out of that. And like, people pleasing has been the biggest character defect that I've had to work on. And it led me into service positions I didn't want to do. It led me into all these things I didn't want to do because I just wanted to be accepted and I wanted everybody to like me. Even in recovery, I wanted that.
Yeah.
Now I don't care. Like,
I mean, I still care a little bit for sure.
I say I don't care. I do care, but man, I am so proud of myself when I turn down
Fuck yeah.
service commitments. And like when you had talked to me about being the chairperson for our local area, right as we were walking into here, I was going to jokingly say, you'll never see me again in a service commitment once this one's up. I'm going to go find an isolated small meeting somewhere, and I'm going to make coffee once a week.
Solid.
That's going to... Days of people pleasing are over. I'm just going to go make coffee once a week.
Yeah, I do region now.
Yeah.
And region's cool. Like, the projects are bigger, for sure. But I'm also like the treasurer, and I fucking hate being the treasurer. Addicts have the biggest problem with money.
No shit. I still have a big problem with money.
So they assume that I have a problem.
I still have a problem with money. Now that I have money, I have a problem with it. I like to spend it on dumb shit. Like,
I mean, that's not dumb, but I get to live my teenage dream down here.
Right. It's, I've got tools and random shit that my new addict spending money on dumb shit thing is cigars.
I like fancy cigars.
I've taken up fancy cigars, and it's
solid.
It is, God, I love it. My wife hates it. I put down cigarettes and cut back on vaping and all that and picked up fancy cigars. My wife hates it. And I just puff my cigar in the backyard and listen to her complain about me smoking cigars.
Plan one day to have a humidor.
Yep, I started with a small one.
No, it's gonna be like a thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm gonna build one when we
Solid.
finally sell someday and get a new house. I'm getting a humidor, wall humidor, big one,
big one.
finest Spanish cedar I can find.
Let's go. Yeah, I think that you had mentioned something that I was going to comment on, and yeah, I think. Oh, sorry, character defect. For me, when I first got into recovery, it was bad. Right, I was angry. I felt insane.
Yeah,
all the toxic things, right? And I think I shared on this on a previous podcast, but or previous episode, but like a lot of my time, like when I first got into meetings, like I didn't participate, so of course I didn't get any better. And then when I started to participate, I found out a lot of my character defects were rooted in fear. And I was like, I'm not a fearful person. That's wild. And then I was.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All of my anger, all of my insanity, all of my everything is just fear based.
Yeah.
Like not fitting in and not being good enough and not everyone not liking me. And then you find out, or then I find out, like a couple of years later, there's like this principal rule that 33% of the people are going to hate you, and 33% of the people are going to like you, and 33% of the people aren't going to give a fuck. The only ones you can actually change are the ones that don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the circles of control? That's something I teach to a lot of people. Is like, what do you have influence over? You only actually have influence over the people who don't give a fuck. You've been able to change them. You can have some influence over the people who do like you. You can make them not like you really quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's when I look back, like my biggest character defect is fear. That's the one I've struggled with the most. It's because everything in my life when I came into this program was fear-based. I didn't want to come back to the program because I had been in it before and everybody knew me. And I hurt so many people on the way out. Financially, collaterally, emotionally, physically. Like, I hurt a lot of people. And I was terrified to come back to the rooms. There's only been one person that has not accepted me back.
Well, fuck that person.
Well, and it's funny is because, I look at the strength of their program and they just don't work a good program. But that's me. So there's a character defect. I'm taking their inventory. But I look at, they don't have to like me either. I don't expect them to. They're also one of the people I hurt the most. But some people that I hurt in like so many ways just were so happy to see me clean. Didn't care. I was a past. Am I back? Am I working steps? Do I got a service commitment sponsor? Am I doing all the things? I'm doing all that? Cool.
Nailed
Good.
it.
You're good. You solved the problem.
Yeah.
I tried to make amends with them. And what can I do? And they said, just keep coming back.
Keep coming back.
You know how good that felt?
Good.
There's people I harm financially, like thousands and thousands of dollars, like upwards of $10,000. I'm like, what can I do to pay you back? And they're like, I don't want a penny. I just want you to stay clean. I just want you to keep coming back. Come here next Friday.
I better see you making coffee.
Yeah. One guy, I was like, man, I know I burned you for this. He said, buy me a cup of coffee after this. We're square. I was like, cool. Like, for real? And he's like, yeah, that's all I want. So buy me a cup because the URS Club went out and bought him a cheap, like, $1 coffee. And
they are pretty cheap.
Yeah, but it's good. You could damn near stand a spoon in the stuff. Back then, they kind of skimp on the coffee now there.
That's true, yeah.
But it was all fear-based. I came back and people just loved me for who I was, for being authentic.
I've shared about this before when I've done speaker meetings and stuff. I'm confident. Not so much anymore, definitely, but like in previous years, I'm confident that I didn't relapse because I was afraid of disappointing people. So still very fear-based. And that I knew that I wouldn't be able to, like, I wouldn't be able to face everybody when I came back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would be too scared to come admit that I had relapsed. So, like, I'm confident for a few years. Like, the reason that I chose to just push through was to avoid the fear of, like, the humiliation that it's, like, never there, by the way. If anyone relapses, and as you have stated, like, the majority of people are just going to welcome you back.
Yeah.
And I know that, and I've always been there when people have come back, and like, I knew that I would be too scared to fucking do it.
I watched this guy a few years back come in and he counted them at his year, and it was 26 white key tags in the span of like 10 months. And then he just quit taking white key tags, and he started getting all the colors. And he took a year. And I remember people used to crack jokes. I was one of the people that cracked jokes about him coming back. Well, when's he going to take a white key tag tonight?
Oh.
And he stood up and took his year, and I stood up and cried.
It was a white key tag.
It was.
It was just translucent white.
Yeah, it glows in the dark. And I shared something to him. I told him, I said, "You're more of a man than any dude in this room." I said, "You're more of a man than me. I can tell you that much." Because I couldn't do it. Too scared to. Come back and humble myself like that. I don't know if I could do it.
I mean, you did do it.
Once.
Yeah, that was enough.
That was enough. That's all I didn't have to do it again.
Yeah, fucking don't do it again.
But to do it 26 times, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I think this is actually an interesting topic, and not to go too far off tangent for sure, but I went to I fly around for work a lot, so sometimes I get to go to like meetings in different areas. And 2 years ago, I basically spent the whole summer in Austin. And I was going to this meeting it was probably about 20 or 30 minutes away from the hotel. And it was every day of the week, and it was always at 7 o'clock at night. And it was primarily like heavily populated with like African Americans. Mm-hmm. And they like that group of people, they get real excited about recovery.
Yeah.
They're on it. It's fucking like, I enjoyed going.
It's beautiful though.
Yeah. Like, I enjoyed that meeting. So I went there, and I remember one night, this guy with like 20 or 30 years, he's like chairing the meeting, and the whole meeting was just like all these people relapsed, and they came back to this meeting, and it wasn't like they were all grouped together or anything, but like they all just ended up going to this meeting. And he was like listening, and we were just listening to all these people that had relapsed and like came back, and they all like, there was a ton of people that got white key tags. And I thought this was like, oh, fuck me. So the guy there, he says, "I'm tired of hearing you guys talking about relapse. You guys never worked a program of recovery to begin with, so you didn't relapse. You just didn't stop using."
Straight up.
I was like, I mean, there's validity to
no, that. That's I like his. I like that.
Yeah, it's like, there's plenty of times that I didn't get high for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
Right. And there's only made so many 5 or 6 days and 26 times in 10 months.
Right. Exactly.
So like, why punish myself?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point. That's a great way to look at it. Because this is the first time that I did work around the steps when I had clean time before, but this is the first time that I've been of service, that I've sponsored others, that I've actually done all the things I'm supposed to do, that I've found a higher power of my understanding, that I've made a conscious contact with, that I didn't do that stuff before. I got a step working guide. I did some steps because I wanted to look cool, because that's what you're supposed to do.
It's what you're supposed to do. And I think that for me, I haven't relapsed, so I don't have a lot of experience there, but I've seen lots of people relapse, and I've held the hand of a few of them. For me, that was all at the beginning of my time. It's like in recovery. It's like I didn't participate. So I was still just as insane as I was when I walked through the door the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't getting high, which means I was much more angry.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I was quite. I think I'm blessed though, because I got clean incarcerated, and so I got out working a solid program, and I had worked steps over the phone, so it was different. It wasn't like as traditional as it would be. So I don't think I got the most out of it, but I was doing all the things I was supposed to do. I was sponsoring others, and then I got out, and I started working steps in a different way, and kind of just to get me through a round of steps, and
Yeah.
like in a different way, and it kind of lit a fire for me. So I think getting clean in prison did benefit me, but man, I was such an asshole when I first got out and I came to the rooms, especially because I had to let everyone know that I was like 8 days fresh out of prison, and I was hard as fuck. Like
That always happens to everyone that comes out of prison.
Yeah.
For like the first 3 months, we're like, I'm 6 days out of prison. I'm 1 month out of prison.
Yeah.
And I just got done doing a 15 bid.
Yeah, no, it was like I'd be in there and be like, I've been out of prison for 87 and a half days, motherfucker. And like this one old timer called me on it. He's like, hey, when are you going to stop like letting everybody know that you're fresh out of prison? He's like, you ain't that tough. And I was like, what? Like, I got like kind of mad about it because I still thought I was half tough. And I'm like, maybe he's right. And he's like, that's not your identity. You need to find your identity. That fucked me up, though, because I was like, what is my identity? And he opened up a can of worms that I was like, I don't know. Who am I?
I think that is an important thing that I found in recovery.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it before, like when we were talking about the mirror stuff, is like the thing that we get in recovery is identifying ourselves. Like we get to discover us.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, and myself, like I didn't know what that was when I got here.
Oh.
And my wife and I, we talk about it quite a bit. It's like we're very grateful for what we have built and what we have built together. And we know the important parts of our identity.
Yes.
Yeah. Being a dad, absolutely.
Yep.
Being a husband, absolutely.
Yeah.
Working hard, being a business owner.
Yeah.
I don't know, all the things, right? Like, I value those things. Being the person that creates safe spaces and shows up for people, like, that's me. I open the space and I create the space so that other people feel safe to blossom.
Yeah.
In all areas of my life.
So that's one of the things that, like, I recognized that about you when I first met you. And, some people might think this is a funny way to say it, but this is what that's the attraction.
Yeah.
Because I saw something, because, I met you and I had like 2.5 years clean. Like,
Yeah.
I was still trying to find my identity at that time, because I got out with 15 months clean. So really, like, in all actuality, I'd only been in civilization for like a year. Like I was only a civilian again for like a year. And I didn't know who Justin was. I didn't know who Justin wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do, like, and now I have an identity. Like, I have children. Like I have 2 stepkids that call me dad. I have my son, I'm a brother. It's one of the beautiful things about recovery is like, I've met my sister. Like I've started to piece together my family, and, I'm married. I'm a husband. I'm a homeowner. Like I've got all these things now. Like, that help create my identity, but also I know, like, one of the truest pieces of my identity now is that, I'm a person who lives with integrity, and that I try my hardest to not live in fear anymore. I think we all still have fear-based emotions that come out.
I know at the end of a certain group of meetings, like one of the things that we always read ends with, we have nothing to fear, or whatever. And I was like, that's a bullshit.
Yeah.
Like we have fear today.
I have fear, but I have fear, But I also have discernment, so now I can
Yeah.
gauge what that fear is about.
Yeah. That's what I was saying is like we have fear today. We just don't let the fear control us as
Right.
much as they used to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. We can sit back a few minutes and be like,
Yeah.
is this real? I don't know. Sometimes it feels real for sure. But.
Oh.
All right. So, closing question.
Oh.
I already told you what it was.
Yes,
and
you
I'm
did.
very curious how your answer.
You're going to have to repeat it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. If someone listening today feels trapped in the same cycle you once were, what's the first step they can take towards breaking it?
Let down the walls.
Ooh.
Now, walls are great.
Walls are great.
Walls are great because they do keep you safe, but I think sometimes we build these walls that are like, they're unscalable to get in or out. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And, you know,
It's all right to have a door in your wall.
it is okay to have a door.
A few windows.
Yeah. I think the best thing I ever did for myself, looking back now, was let the walls down and let people in and let people love me and let myself be able to love.
Exactly.
I use this term at work a lot, and people don't like it. And I tell people, I said, well, just give them enough rope to hang themselves or pull themselves out of the hole. And I look at that as the same way as, like, I got to let my walls down. Because if they're too high, they're not scalable in either direction. I can't get myself out, and others can't get in. And then I'm just stuck in the insanity of what's in that little wall. And what's in these four walls, or this little circle of walls, the odd-shaped walls, is really dangerous.
Yeah.
It's the most dangerous place I've been. I've got to let people in. I've got to let things out. Because being trapped in here is a fucking scary place.
That is where I am the most toxic.
Yes.
Yeah. There are multiple times, like, throughout. My wife and I have been married for like 10 years now. Almost. Yeah. Next year is 10 years. And like sometimes she'll be like, "What's going on in your head?" I said, "I'm not ready to share it because, like, I know it's not real."
Yeah.
And like even now, I know that my first thoughts are bad, and the difference is they're not always. The first thought is not always bad today. First off, and when I'm choosing to isolate, when I'm choosing to have my walls up, that's when my mind is the most dangerous.
Right.
Now, the danger is much more less than it used to be for sure, but
Absolutely, but I can think myself into a problem real quick.
absolutely.
I mean, it's yeah. Let me put my walls up too high and give me a weekend. Oh, man, I will tell you all about how ready my wife is to just leave me and take the kid. Like, all because I left my underwear on the floor in the bathroom and didn't put it in the hamper. Which that is actually one of her biggest pet peeves. So
That's yeah, I have convinced myself many times that the smallest things turns into the largest things until I walked myself away from the ledge.
yeah, I mean, she'd tell me she was going to kill me in my sleep if I continued to do it, but
Yay,
I'm
newlyweds.
joking. I'm not being amused.
Don't kill my buddy. He's probably going to leave his underwear on the ground.
No, I actually make a really good point. It's funny. I'm joking about that is because last night I started to walk out of the bathroom and I saw him on the ground. I was like, I want to live. And I put him in the
Yeah, I guess just to add on to your thing. And I think that this is true for a couple of my sponsees right now, specifically, is that just just I have to remind myself that recovery is an evolutionary process. Nothing changes overnight.
No.
And not everything can change at one time.
No.
We have to prioritize the things that are the problems, and then those are the things we work on today.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work on them until they're not a problem. And then we can work on the next thing. But recovery is supposed to be a lifelong process. So treat it like that.
I've heard people say I'm a recovered addict, and I think that's really dangerous. When I know I will not be recovered until the day you're putting me in the ground.
Yeah, I think that up on the washer machine we have. So my wife's dad was in recovery, and we got a picture of him out in the garage and stuff, and we have his infinity coin.
Yeah,
he died sober for sure.
Yeah,
and I'm confident that he would have agreed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not working on myself, then I'm working toward going back to where I was. I've got to work forward because it's really easy for me to work backwards.
Yeah. I like going forward.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, no, I like. Yeah, I'm not like a big Jelly Roll fan, and
It's all right sometimes. Though.
I do love some of his music, but I'm not like a big Jelly Roll fan. I do like a lot of what he does for the community and stuff. But I heard a lyric to one of his songs that talks about removing the rear view mirror off of a Ford. And
oh yeah.
And I heard that and I was like, that's really good. I like that. And then I heard him talk about it one time.
Shout out Jelly Roll.
But he talked about removing the mirror, the rear view mirror, and how you can only move forward then. And so that's something I try to do in my life, is remind myself I just got to keep the rear view mirror out of there. So there's nothing for me there.
That's true. There's no point in punishing ourselves with the past.
No, it does not define me and who I am. It is created issues in my life.
Absolutely.
Like that I'm still working through, but recovery has given me so many beautiful things. I've got to go into jails and prisons and do all these things and leave the same day.
Same day. Typically about an hour or so later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to do all these really cool things that I never would have got to do at any other time in my life. Like, it has given me some of the greatest gifts that I have ever gotten in my life. And I think that's pretty cool, because the only thing I was promised is that if I don't use, I stay clean.
That's, yeah. There's a meeting I go to, and they like to say that a lot. If you don't, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Justin.
Thank you, my friend.
I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you doing this with me. Yeah.
I'll always come back for a different subject if you want me.
Oh, we got seasons coming.
We got seasons.
Yeah. I lit up seasons for this one.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. Hope you found something that you found worthy and that you could use for yourself. And yeah.
Thank you again, brother.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.